I was staring at a text message that wasn't meant for me when my entire world collapsed. Can't wait for Tyler's soccer practice tomorrow. 3 whole hours with you while my idiot husband thinks I'm being a good mom. The message sat on my wife Amanda's laptop screen, bright and damning in the glow of our home office. I'd only opened the device to print boarding passes for our family vacation to Disney World. A trip we'd been planning for 6 months. A trip that was supposed to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary. My hands started shaking. Not the kind of trembling you can control, but the deep, bone-rattling kind that comes when your nervous system realizes something catastrophic before your brain catches up. Tyler, our 8-year-old son. Soccer practice. I looked at the sender's name. Bethany Lawson. Amanda's best friend since college. The woman who'd been maid of honor at our wedding. The woman whose husband Derek had been my groomsman. The woman who was apparently helping my wife coordinate an affair. My finger moved to the trackpad almost on autopsy. I scrolled up through the conversation, and each message was another knife between my ribs. Derek's working late again? We have the house until 10. Jason's taking the kids to his mother's this weekend. We'll have all Saturday. I told him I joined a book club. He actually believed it. The messages went back months. September, and it was now early March. 6 months of lies. 6 months of book clubs and PTA meetings and girls' nights that were apparently code for something else entirely. I sat down hard in the office chair, my legs suddenly unable to support my weight. The boarding passes I'd meant to print seemed like artifacts from another life, another marriage, another version of Jason Miller who still believed his wife loved him. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Amanda. Picking up Tyler from school. Need anything from the store? The normalcy of it made me want to vomit. She was out there, living her double life, sending me mundane text messages about groceries while planning her next rendezvous with who? I scrolled further through the messages, looking for a name. Looking for anything that would tell me who had destroyed my marriage. Then I found it. Brad's getting suspicious. He asked why I've been going to the gym so much. Tell him you're training for a 5K. Men are idiots. They believe anything. You're right. God, I can't wait until Saturday. Tell Kevin to wear that cologne I like. Kevin. The name hit me like a physical blow because I knew exactly who Kevin was. Kevin Patterson, Tyler's soccer coach. The guy I'd shaken hands with dozens of times. The guy I'd invited to our house for Tyler's birthday party. The guy who'd looked me in the eye and told me what a great kid I was raising while apparently sleeping with my wife during practice sessions. I stood up so fast the chair rolled backward and hit the wall. My vision tunneled. My heart hammered against my ribs like it was trying to escape my chest. How many times? How many soccer practices had I dropped Tyler off at, waved goodbye to my wife and driven away I forced myself to breathe. Forced myself to think. The laptop was still open. The messages were still there. Evidence. My background in IT suddenly became the most valuable thing I'd ever learned. I pulled out my phone and started taking photographs. Every message, every damning word, the timestamps, the details. 3 months ago, Amanda had told me she wanted to work on her fitness. I'd encouraged her. I'd been proud of her. I'd watched Tyler during her gym sessions and felt like a supportive husband. What an idiot I'd been. The front door opened downstairs. Dad, we're home. Tyler's voice, bright and innocent and completely unaware that his mother was a liar and his soccer coach was a predator who'd infiltrated our family. Be right down, buddy, I called back, and I was amazed at how normal my voice sounded. I heard Amanda's footsteps in the kitchen, heard her putting away groceries, heard her humming something under her breath. Happy, content. Probably thinking about Kevin and their next encounter. I looked back at the laptop screen. There were hundreds of messages between Amanda and Bethany. Months of coordination. Months of lies. But there was something else too. Something that made my blood run cold. Derek still doesn't know about us either. We're so good at this. I know. Sometimes I feel bad. But then I remember how boring they both are. Right? Like, Jason's a good dad. But God, he's so predictable. Kevin actually makes me feel alive. Same with you. Derek's so focused on his stupid promotion. You actually pay attention to me. I had to read it 3 times before the full meaning sank in. Bethany wasn't helping Amanda hide an affair. Bethany was the affair. And Amanda was helping Bethany cheat on Derek with Kevin the soccer coach. No. Wait. I scrolled back further, my hands now steady with a cold, calculated fury. Can't believe we both found them at the same gym. I know. What are the odds? Though I saw Kevin first. You can have Kevin. Brad's more my type anyway. Brad. Kevin. 2 men. And based on the messages, Amanda was with Kevin while Bethany was with someone named Brad. But then there were other messages. Messages that made me realize the situation was even worse than I'd thought. Last night was amazing, all 4 of us. My stomach dropped through the floor. This wasn't just an affair. This was something organized, something calculated, something that involved multiple people and had been going on right under my nose for half a year. I heard Amanda's footsteps on the stairs. Time to make a choice. I closed the laptop with a soft click that felt deafening in the silence. My hands were still shaking. The photographs were uploaded to 3 different cloud services, forwarded to my personal email, and saved on an encrypted flash drive I kept in my desk drawer. Years in IT had taught me redundancy. Evidence needed backups. Always. Tyler's footsteps thundered up the stairs, the way only an 8-year-old can move, all energy and 0 stealth. Dad, can we get pizza for dinner? Mom said maybe. I turned in my chair, forcing my face into something resembling normal. Sure, buddy, whatever you want. He grinned and disappeared back downstairs. I heard Amanda's voice, warm and musical, calling after him about homework first. The same voice that had written those messages. The same woman who'd kissed me goodbye this morning. I stood up, legs unsteady. My reflection caught in the dark window. A man who looked exactly like he had this morning, but wasn't. Would never be again. The smart move was to say nothing. Document everything. Build an airtight case before she knew I was building anything at all. I walked downstairs almost on autopilot, each step carefully measured. Amanda was in the kitchen, unloading groceries. She looked up when I entered, and her smile was so genuine it made my stomach twist. Hey, honey, how was your day? Fine. The word came out flat. I cleared my throat. Normal. She paused, a can of tomatoes in her hand, studying my face. For a second, I thought she knew. That somehow she could see the last hour written across my features. You feeling okay? You look pale. Just tired, long day. She set down the can and crossed to me, reaching up to touch my forehead like I was Tyler's age. The gesture was so familiar, so practiced, that I almost flinched. No fever. Maybe you're coming down with something? Maybe. Her hand lingered on my cheek. I looked into her eyes, green, flecked with gold. The same eyes I'd stared into 10 years ago when I'd promised forever. And saw nothing. No guilt. No fear. Just concern for her husband who looked tired. She was good. Really, really good. Why don't you rest before dinner, she said. I'll handle Tyler's homework. I nodded and retreated to the living room, sinking into the couch. Through the doorway, I could see her moving around the kitchen, humming something under her breath. Tyler appeared with his backpack, and she ruffled his hair before sitting down with him at the table. A perfect domestic scene. A perfect lie. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, half expecting, What? A message from her lover? A warning from the universe? It was from my brother Jake. Still on for Sunday golf? I stared at the text. Sunday was 3 days away. In my old life, the one that had ended an hour ago, I would have said yes immediately. Now I couldn't think past the next 5 minutes. Yeah, I typed back. Looking forward to it. The words felt like they were written by someone else. Amanda called us for dinner at 6. Pizza, as promised. Tyler talked nonstop about soccer practice, about a goal he'd almost made, about how Coach Kevin said he had real potential. Coach Kevin. I cut my pizza into smaller and smaller pieces, not eating. Jason? Amanda's voice cut through the fog. You're not eating. Not that hungry. You sure you're not sick? Tyler looked up, concerned. Are you okay, Dad? I'm fine, buddy. Just not feeling pizza tonight. Amanda's eyes narrowed slightly. Not much. Just enough that I knew she was calculating, trying to figure out what was wrong, trying to assess if it was a threat. Maybe you should go to bed early, she said. I can handle Tyler's bedtime. No. The word came out sharper than I intended. Tyler's eyes widened. I forced a smile. No, I want to. We're reading that book, right? The one about the dragons? Tyler brightened immediately. Yeah, we're on chapter 7. Then we'll read chapter 7. Amanda watched me across the table. I held her gaze, and something passed between us. Some wordless exchange that felt like the first honest communication we'd had in months. She knew something was off. She just didn't know what. Good. After dinner, I read to Tyler. He curled up next to me on his bed, all warm and solid and real. The book was some fantasy thing with knights and dragons and magic swords. Good versus evil. Heroes and villains. Everything simple and clear. Dad? Tyler's voice was sleepy. You're really good at the dragon voice. Thanks, buddy. Coach Kevin says you can come to practice anytime. He said you should see what we're learning. My hand tightened on the book. Did he? Yeah, he's really cool. He knows all about soccer. He played in college and everything. I'm sure he did. Can you come to practice? I looked down at my son's face, open and trusting and completely unaware that his soccer coach was sleeping with his mother. That the man he admired was destroying his family. Maybe, I said. We'll see. He yawned. Okay. I read another chapter, then 2 more, until his breathing evened out and his eyes closed. I sat there for a while, just watching him sleep, memorizing this moment. The last night of before. Tomorrow, everything would start changing. Amanda was in our bedroom when I finally went in. She was already in bed, reading something on her phone. Probably texting Bethany. Probably planning the next book club. She looked up when I entered. He asleep? Yeah. You were up there a while. He wanted extra chapters. She smiled. You're a good dad, Jason. The words should have felt like a knife. Instead, they just felt empty. Meaningless sounds from a stranger's mouth. I went into the bathroom and closed the door. Stared at myself in the mirror. Same face. Same boring, predictable face that wasn't exciting enough. Wasn't whatever Kevin Patterson was. When I came out, Amanda had put down her phone. She was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Are you sure you're okay? She asked. You've been weird all evening. I'm fine. Jason, she sat up. Talk to me. What's going on? The irony was almost funny. She wanted me to talk, to open up, to share what was bothering me. I could do it right now. Confront her. Throw everything I knew in her face and watch her scramble to explain. Watch the mask crack. But that wasn't the play. Not yet. Just work stuff, I said. Nothing important. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, But if you want to talk, I know, thanks. I climbed into bed, keeping to my side. She turned off the light and settled in next to me. In the darkness, I could hear her breathing. Feel the warmth of her body inches from mine. 6 months. Maybe longer. How long had she been lying here next to me, thinking about him? Planning her next meeting? Laughing with Bethany about how clueless I was? Jason? Her voice was soft in the dark. Yeah? I love you. 3 words. Simple, automatic. The kind of thing married people say before sleep. I waited just long enough that she'd notice. Long enough that the silence felt heavy. Love you too, I finally said. She shifted slightly and I knew she'd heard it. The hesitation, the flatness. Good. Let her wonder. Let her lie awake trying to figure out what was wrong, if I suspected something, if her perfect deception was starting to crack. Tomorrow I'd call a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, the best divorce attorney in the city. The one Jake had used when his marriage imploded. The one who'd torn his ex-wife apart in court. Tomorrow I'd start building my case, documenting everything, preparing for war. But tonight, I lay in the dark next to my wife, and I let her wonder. The locksmith stood on my doorstep, toolbox in hand, waiting for my response. Her brother, I repeated, the words tasting wrong in my mouth. Yeah, nice guy. Helped me carry my equipment in from the truck. He consulted his phone. Let's see. Early February. Valentine's Day weekend, actually. I remember because he joked about making sure he had a key before the big day. Amanda didn't have a brother. She was an only child. Her parents died in a car accident 4 years ago. Right, I said, my voice operating on some autonomous function while my brain raced. I forgot about that. No problem. So, how many copies you need today? Actually, you know what? I need to check with my wife first. Make sure we're not duplicating what she already had made. The lie came easily now. I'd been practicing for 3 days. Sure thing. Just give me a call when you're ready. He handed me a business card and headed back to his van. I closed the door and leaned against it, the business card crumpling in my fist. 3 months ago. February. Right when the affair started according to the earliest messages I'd found. Someone had a key to my house. Someone Amanda had introduced to this locksmith as her brother. Kevin? Brad? Some other name I hadn't discovered yet? I pulled out my phone and opened the note where I'd been documenting everything. Added this new detail with the date and time. The locksmith's name from his card. Everything. My hands weren't shaking anymore. That first night, discovering those messages, I'd trembled so hard I could barely hold my phone. Now I felt cold. Calculated. Each new revelation just added fuel to a fire that burned with perfect, controlled intensity. I'd spent the last 3 days living a double life that mirrored Amanda's. Smiling at breakfast, helping Tyler with homework, asking Amanda about her day with genuine seeming interest. All while building my case with the methodical precision that made me good at my job. The divorce attorney, a sharp woman named Patricia Novak, who came highly recommended from a colleague who'd been through his own nightmare, had been impressed with my documentation. Not that she'd gushed about it, but the way her eyebrows raised when I showed her my organized files spoke volumes. You'll want to install security cameras, she'd said during our consultation yesterday. Document who comes and goes, especially if someone else has a key to your home. I'd already ordered them. They were sitting in my car trunk, waiting for Amanda's next book club to install them. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. Running late. Can you start dinner? Tyler needs to eat before practice. Practice. With Kevin. No problem, I typed back. Added a heart emoji, the same one I'd been using for 10 years, back when it meant something. Tyler was upstairs, the sound of his video game filtering down through the ceiling. I had maybe an hour before Amanda got home from wherever she actually was. I went to my office and pulled up the laptop, my laptop now, since I'd quietly replaced Amanda's with an identical model after cloning everything from it. She had the new one, completely unaware that every message, every photo, every deleted file was now backed up in 7 different locations she didn't know existed. The cloned laptop had become my window into her world. I checked it obsessively, watching the real-time messages appear. There was a new thread from this afternoon. Amanda. He almost caught me with the phone yesterday. Bethany. Girl, you need to be more careful. Amanda. I know. He's been weird lately, asking questions. Bethany. What kind of questions? Amanda. Just paying more attention. Wanted to know exactly when book club meets. Asked about your husband. Bethany. About Derek? Amanda. Yeah, asked how he was doing, if we ever all hung out anymore. My pulse quickened. I hadn't asked about Derek, but apparently I'd asked enough other questions to make her nervous. Bethany. You think he knows? Amanda. No, he's too trusting, but I need to be more careful. Bethany. Maybe cool it for a while? Amanda. Can't. Friday is already planned. All 4 of us. There it was again. All 4 of us. Bethany. Kay's place? Amanda. Yeah, Derek's out of town, right? Bethany. Business trip to Atlanta. Back Sunday. I sat back, the pieces clicking together with sickening clarity. Derek was Bethany's husband, my former groomsman, a guy I'd known for over a decade. Kevin was K, which meant Brad was B. Bethany. All 4 of us, my wife, her best friend, the soccer coach, and someone else. Someone who had a key to my house who'd been here in February while I was at work and Tyler was at school. Someone the locksmith had met and helped carry equipment. I pulled up the messages again, searching for February, cross-referencing dates with my work calendar. February 14th. Valentine's Day. I'd worked late, finishing a network upgrade. Hadn't gotten home until almost 8. Amanda had been annoyed, I remembered. Said I'd ruined our dinner reservations. But she'd been home when I arrived. Candles lit, music playing. Makeup perfect. Had he been here earlier? Had she entertained her brother in our house, in our bed, then cleaned up and played the disappointed wife when I finally showed up? The garage door rumbled open. I closed the laptop, slipped it back into its hiding place behind the old computer equipment I'd been meaning to donate. Took 3 deep breaths. Let my face relax into the mask I'd been wearing. Amanda came through the door carrying grocery bags, her hair perfect, makeup fresh. She was wearing the yoga pants and athletic top she claimed to wear to the gym. Hey babe, she said, breezing past me to the kitchen. Thanks for starting dinner. I got stuck in traffic. I followed her, watching as she unpacked organic vegetables and expensive cheese. The groceries were real, at least. A nice touch. Cover story backed up with physical evidence. No problem, I said. How was your day? Exhausting. The gym was packed. She pulled out a container of strawberries, started rinsing them in the sink. Oh, and Bethany called. She wants to do book club Friday night. You okay watching Tyler? Friday. When Derek would be in Atlanta. Sure, I said. Which book are you reading? She froze for just a fraction of a second. The new Kristen Hanna. I mentioned it last week. She hadn't. But I nodded like I remembered. Sounds good. What time? Probably 7. I'll be back by 11. 4 hours. Enough time to drive to Kevin's place. I'd already looked up his address, a condo 20 minutes away, do whatever they were planning with all 4 of us, and get back. Want me to record your show? I asked. That's sweet. Yeah, if you don't mind. She kissed my cheek and I smelled her perfume. The expensive one I'd bought her for Christmas. Wondered if she'd put it on for me or for whoever she'd actually been with this afternoon. "Tyler," she called upstairs. "Dinner in 20 minutes." I moved to the stove, started heating olive oil in a pan. Amanda hummed while she chopped vegetables, completely at ease. Completely convinced her performance was flawless. My phone was in my pocket, the security camera app already downloaded. Friday morning, after they both left, I'd install them. Every room except Tyler's bathroom. I'd see exactly who came and went. And Friday night, while Amanda thought I was home watching Tyler and recording her show, I'd be watching something else entirely. Patricia had been clear about the laws. I couldn't record inside Kevin's condo. But I could sit outside, document who arrived and when, take photos of Amanda entering and leaving, build a timeline. "You're quiet tonight," Amanda said, glancing over at me. "Just thinking about work," I said. "Big project coming up." "Well, try not to work too late this week. Tyler misses you when you're always in your office." The casual manipulation was almost beautiful in its execution, making me feel guilty for working, for providing for our family, while she planned her Friday night with 3 other people. "I'll make time," I said. She smiled, satisfied, and went back to her vegetables. I stirred the pan and watched my wife, this stranger wearing Amanda's face, and counted down the hours until Friday. The security cameras arrived Thursday afternoon in nondescript brown packaging. I'd paid extra for overnight shipping and used a gift card purchased with cash. Nothing traceable back to my credit card statements. The small wireless units were marketed for home security, with motion detection and cloud storage. Perfect for what I needed. I waited until Amanda took Tyler to his piano lesson before installing them. My hands were steadier than they'd been in days as I mounted the tiny camera in the living room bookshelf, angled to capture the front door and most of the main floor. The second went in our bedroom, tucked behind a picture frame on the dresser. The third I saved for later, for Friday, when I'd know exactly where they planned to meet. Each camera fed to an app on my phone. I tested them twice, watching myself move through our house like a stranger, seeing our home through the lens of surveillance. Everything looked different this way. Colder, more clinical. The locksmith's revelation kept circling through my mind. Someone had keys to my house. Had been inside, probably multiple times. I thought about all those afternoons I'd worked late, all those weekends I'd taken Tyler to his games while Amanda stayed home to catch up on things. What had they done in my house? In my bed? I pushed the thought away. Couldn't go there, not yet. Had to stay focused. Thursday night passed in careful normalcy. Dinner, homework help, bedtime stories. Amanda seemed relaxed, humming while she did dishes, smiling at something on her phone. Tomorrow was her big night after all, her book club. I lay awake long after she fell asleep, watching her breathe in the darkness. 10 years. I'd known this woman for 10 years, been married to her for all of them, and I didn't know her at all. Friday morning, I called in sick to work. First time in 3 years. My boss didn't question it. I'd built up enough credibility that one sick day raised no flags. Amanda left for her errands around 10, after dropping Tyler at school. I watched her pull out of the driveway, waited 5 minutes, then checked the app on my phone. She'd been texting someone all morning, but she'd been careful to delete the messages. Didn't matter. I had access to her cloud backup now, could see everything she thought she'd erased. The latest exchange made my jaw clench. Amanda. Can't wait for tonight. Feels like it's been forever. Bethany. I know. Derek's flight left at 6 a.m. We're all clear. Amanda. Same here. Jay is taking Tyler to his friend's sleepover. Won't be back until late. Bethany. Perfect. Kevin confirmed he can get there by 8. Brad's coming straight from work. Amanda. Did you get the wine? Bethany. 2 bottles of that Pinot you like, and I picked up something special to wear. Amanda. You're bad, lol. I got something new too. Kevin's gonna lose his mind. Bethany. Brad already has sent him a preview pic, and he's been texting me nonstop. My hands shook as I read. They were planning this like a dinner party. Casual. Excited. Like it was the most normal thing in the world. The messages confirmed what I'd suspected. They were meeting at Bethany's house. Made sense. Derek was out of town, and they'd have privacy. I pulled up the address I'd memorized from our wedding guest list. Bethany and Derek lived in Riverside Oaks, about 20 minutes away. Upscale neighborhood, houses set back from the street with plenty of trees. Good for privacy, also good for surveillance. I spent the afternoon preparing, changed the oil in my car, couldn't risk a breakdown during surveillance. Charged my phone, my backup phone, and a portable battery pack. Loaded the third camera and a small tripod into a backpack. Dressed in dark, nondescript clothing. At 4:30, I picked up Tyler from school. He bounced into the car, full of energy, chattering about the sleepover at his friend Mason's house. We're gonna play video games all night, Dad. Mason's mom said we can stay up until midnight. That's great, buddy. I kept my voice light, normal. You got everything packed? Mom helped me this morning. It's all ready. Of course she did. Efficient as always. Amanda was in the kitchen when we got home, wearing yoga pants and a loose sweater. Casual. But I noticed her makeup was done, her hair styled. She was laying groundwork, would change before she left. Hey, you two, she kissed Tyler's forehead. Excited for your sleepover? So excited, she glanced at me. You're still okay to drop him off and pick him up tomorrow? Yeah, no problem. What time's your book club? Starts at 7:30. Probably won't be back until 11 or so. She said it smoothly, easily. Such a practiced liar. Which book are you discussing again? A flicker of something crossed her face. Annoyance, maybe, that I was asking questions. It's that thriller everyone's been talking about. The one Bethany recommended. Sounds good. Have fun. I took Tyler to Mason's house at 6:15. Spent 10 minutes chatting with Mason's parents. Normal dad small talk about school and sports and how fast the kids were growing up. The whole time, part of my brain was calculating. Bethany's house was 20 minutes away. Amanda said she was leaving at 7:15. I needed to be in position before then. I left Mason's at 6:30 and drove straight to Riverside Oaks. The neighborhood was exactly as I remembered from the one time we'd attended a barbecue there. Large houses on acre lots, mature landscaping, quiet streets. I parked 2 blocks away from Bethany's address, on a side street with no houses nearby. From there, I walked. The March evening was cool, the sun setting behind the trees. I wore a dark jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. Just another neighbor out for an evening walk. Bethany's house was a 2-story colonial with a circular driveway. Lights were on downstairs. Her car, a white SUV, sat in the driveway. I circled the block, noting the sightlines, the neighbor proximity, the best vantage point. There was a small park at the end of the street, just a playground and some benches surrounded by trees. From the right angle, I'd have a clear view of Bethany's front door and driveway. I settled onto a bench partially hidden by a large oak, set up the third camera on its tripod in the bushes, angled toward the house. The camera had a good zoom lens and low light capability. It would capture everyone who arrived. Then I waited. 7:40. A silver sedan pulled into the driveway. I zoomed in with my phone camera as a man got out. Mid-30s, athletic build, wearing jeans and a button-down shirt. He carried a bottle of wine and walked to the front door like he'd been there before. Kevin Patterson. Had to be. I'd never met him. Amanda always handled Tyler's soccer stuff, but he matched the age and description. The door opened. I couldn't see who answered, but Kevin disappeared inside. 8:15, Amanda's car turned onto the street. My pulse kicked up as I watched her pull into the driveway, parked next to Kevin's sedan. She got out wearing a dress I'd never seen before, something fitted and short, completely different from the yoga pants she'd had on an hour ago. She'd changed somewhere, probably in the car or maybe at a gas station. She walked to the door. It opened before she could knock. The camera captured everything. 8:35. A black truck pulled up. Newer model, expensive. A man got out, tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair. He wore slacks and a dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up, like he'd come straight from an office job. Brad. Had to be. I zoomed in as far as my phone would allow, trying to capture his face. He looked vaguely familiar, but I couldn't place him. Someone from Amanda's work? A friend of a friend? He walked to the door with the same casual confidence as the others. The door opened. He went inside. Now all four were there. I sat in the darkness, watching the lit windows of Bethany's house, and felt something cold and final settle in my chest. This was real. This was happening. My wife was in that house right now with 3 other people, doing things I couldn't let myself imagine. The camera kept recording. The evidence kept mounting. And I kept waiting. The feed from the camera I'd positioned in Bethany's upstairs hallway went dark at 11:47 p.m. I stared at my laptop screen, watching the timestamp tick forward while the video showed nothing but black. Someone had found it, or covered it. Either way, they knew. My phone buzzed. Amanda. Staying at Beth's tonight. Too much wine. Love you. My hands didn't shake anymore. That was the strangest part. 3 days ago, discovering those first messages had nearly destroyed me. Now I felt nothing but cold calculation. I texted back, "No problem. Drive safe tomorrow. Love you too." The other cameras were still active. Living room showed empty wine glasses and abandoned shoes. Kitchen showed nothing. But the camera I'd hidden in Bethany's garage, the one I'd placed that morning while pretending to help Derek load his golf clubs before his business trip, that one was gold. At 1:23 a.m., Brad emerged. He walked to his car, a silver Lexus I now had the plate number for, and sat in the driver's seat for several minutes. The dome light illuminated his face clearly. Mid-30s, athletic build, expensive haircut. I took screenshots, ran them through reverse image search. Nothing. I tried LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. The plate number would take longer. I'd need to use some connections, call in favors from people who had access to DMV databases. Brad finally started his car and left. Kevin followed 20 minutes later, looking rumpled and satisfied. I wanted to put my fist through the screen. Amanda's car stayed in Bethany's driveway all night. Saturday morning, I took Tyler to his game. Different field this week, different team. Kevin wasn't there. His assistant coach ran the practice. Tyler scored 2 goals and I cheered like my world wasn't imploding. "Dad, you okay?" Tyler asked on the drive home. "You seem weird." "Just tired, buddy. Work stuff." "Is Mom still at Aunt Beth's?" "Yeah, she'll be home soon." He accepted this without question. 8 years old, and his biggest worry was whether we'd have pizza or burgers for lunch. I wanted to keep it that way as long as possible. Amanda came home at noon, looking fresh and showered. She kissed my cheek. "Morning. How was the game?" "Good. 2 goals." "That's my boy." She headed upstairs. "I'm going to change and then we should start packing for Disney. Can you believe it's only 5 days away?" 5 days. Our 10th anniversary trip. I'd been looking forward to it for months. Now the thought made me sick. My phone rang that afternoon while Amanda was in the shower. Unknown number. "Jason Miller?" "Speaking." "This is Detective Frank Russo with the County Sheriff's Office. You filed a request through a private investigator for vehicle registration information?" I stepped into my office and closed the door. "Yes." The plate you're asking about belongs to Bradley Whitmore. He's a physical therapist, has a practice over on Riverside Drive. That help you? Very much. Thank you. Listen, I don't know what you're looking into, but be careful. People get stupid when they're caught doing things they shouldn't be doing. I appreciate the advice. Bradley Whitmore, physical therapist. I pulled up his practice website within seconds. Professional headshot, warm smile, credentials listed prominently. Married to someone named Vanessa. 2 kids. My stomach turned. This wasn't just Amanda destroying our family. This was 4 people playing games while spouses and children waited at home. I dug deeper. Vanessa Whitmore had an active Instagram, family photos, kids' birthday parties, anniversary dinners. The most recent post was from yesterday. Missing my love while he's at that boring conference. Come home soon. Conference. Right. I screenshot everything. Sunday evening, Amanda was in the kitchen making dinner when my phone buzzed with an email from Patricia Novak. Jason, I've reviewed all the new documentation you sent over. The timeline is solid, evidence is substantial. We need to meet Tuesday to discuss strategy. I'm recommending we move quickly once you're ready. These situations tend to escalate when discovered. Patricia. I deleted the email and cleared my trash folder. Amanda had gotten sloppy with her laptop, but I wasn't taking chances. Honey, Amanda called from the kitchen. Can you help Tyler with his homework? Sure. I found Tyler at the dining room table, struggling with multiplication. We worked through the problems together, his pencil scratching against paper, his tongue poking out in concentration. Normal. Innocent. Everything I was fighting to protect. Amanda brought us cookies when we finished. She ruffled Tyler's hair and smiled at me. My 2 favorite guys. The performance was flawless. If I hadn't seen those messages, hadn't watched her walk into Bethany's house on Friday night, hadn't traced every lie back to its source, I'd never have known. That was the most terrifying part. How good she was at this. Monday morning, I called in sick to work. Amanda left for her yoga class at 9. I gave her a 10-minute head start, then followed. She didn't go to the gym. She went to a coffee shop on the east side of town, the kind of place that's never crowded on weekday mornings. I parked 3 spaces down and watched through the window. Bethany arrived first. Then Kevin. They sat at a corner table, heads close together, talking intensely. Amanda's body language was animated, hands gesturing. Bethany looked worried. Kevin kept checking his phone. They stayed for 45 minutes. When they left, they didn't hug or kiss goodbye, just scattered to separate cars like business associates after a meeting. I waited 5 minutes, then went inside. The barista was wiping down tables. Excuse me, I said. Those people who just left. Do they come in here often? She looked up, suspicious. Why? I pulled out my wallet, showed her Amanda's photo. That's my wife. I think she might be in trouble. I'm trying to help her. The suspicion softened. Oh. Yeah, they've been coming in every Monday for a couple months. Usually stay about an hour. They seem fine though, just talking. Do you know what they talk about? I don't eavesdrop on customers. I slid a 20 across the counter. Please, I'm worried about her. She pocketed the money. I heard them mention some kind of group thing, like a club or something. One time the blonde lady, your wife, she was talking about ground rules and boundaries. I figured it was some kind of support group, you know? Ground rules. Boundaries. Thank you. That night, Amanda was especially affectionate. She curled up next to me on the couch while Tyler played video games, her head on my shoulder. I can't wait for Disney, she murmured. Just the 3 of us. No distractions. Me too. Tyler's going to love it, and we can have some alone time after he goes to sleep. She kissed my neck. Reconnect. My skin crawled, but I didn't pull away. Sounds perfect. She fell asleep against me around 10. I stayed awake, feeling her breath against my chest, her hand resting on my stomach. 10 years of marriage, a child together, a home, a life, a future I'd thought was solid. All of it built on lies. My phone buzzed silently in my pocket. Email from the PI I'd hired. A different one than Patricia had recommended. Someone who specialized in digital forensics. Jason, got into the cloud backup of your wife's phone like you requested. Found deleted messages going back 14 months. Sending encrypted files now. You're going to want to see these. Mike. 14 months. Not 6. Not 3. 14. I carefully extracted myself from Amanda's sleeping form and went to my office. Downloaded the files. Opened the first folder. The messages started in August of last year. Amanda and Bethany discussing someone named B, who Bethany had met at a wellness retreat. He's amazing, Bethany had written, and he knows another couple who might be interested. This could really work. Amanda's response. I don't know. Jason would never understand. Jason doesn't need to know. This is about us, our needs, our fulfillment. I scrolled faster, watching the plan take shape. The introduction to Brad and Vanessa. The first meeting, just talking, establishing trust. The gradual escalation. Kevin entering the picture in November after Amanda mentioned Tyler's hot coach. And then, in February, the message that made my blood freeze. B says we need a safe space, somewhere private. I'm thinking our place while Derek's traveling. But what about backup? What if someone comes home early? Amanda had responded. I'll get extra keys made. Tell the locksmith they're for my brother. We can give them to B and K for emergencies. Bethany. Perfect. God, I love how you think. Jason's so lucky to have you. Amanda. Jason's lucky I'm discreet. I read every message, every planning session, every debriefing, every casual cruelty about their unsuspecting spouses. The way they laughed about Derek's business trips. The way Amanda mocked my predictability, my trust, my devotion to our family. By 3 a.m., I had everything I needed. By 4 a.m., I had a plan. The sun rose over a house that looked exactly the same as yesterday. Same white trim. Same welcome mat. Same family photos on the walls. Everything different. I'd been awake for 27 hours straight. My eyes burned. My hands shook when I reached for my coffee mug. But my mind had never been clearer. Amanda hummed in the kitchen, making Tyler's lunch. Peanut butter and jelly, crusts cut off. An apple sliced into quarters. The same lunch she'd made 1,000 times while planning her next encounter with Kevin or Brad or whoever else might be involved in this thing. Morning, honey. Her voice drifted up the stairs, bright and cheerful. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. Red-rimmed eyes. 2 days of stubble. The face of a man who'd spent the night mapping out the systematic dismantling of his marriage. Morning, I called back. The plan was simple, elegant even. Patricia had walked me through the legal framework during our second call at 2 a.m. California was a no-fault state, but documentation mattered for custody, for asset division, for making sure Amanda couldn't spin some story about an unhappy marriage or a distant husband. I had the evidence. Now I needed the timing. Tyler appeared in the bathroom doorway, still in his pajamas. Dad, can you help me find my soccer cleats? The cleats Kevin had helped him pick out 3 weeks ago. The ones Amanda had insisted on buying after practice, the 3 of them going to the sporting goods store together while I worked late on a server migration. How many times had I thanked Kevin for being such a dedicated coach? Sure, buddy, check the garage. He scampered off, 8 years old, and completely unaware that his world was about to shift on its axis. That was the part that made my chest tight. Not Amanda's betrayal. I'd already processed that into cold, hard strategy. But Tyler's confusion when this all came apart. Patricia had been clear. Document everything, maintain normalcy, and wait for the right moment. Don't tip your hand. Don't give Amanda time to hide assets or manufacture evidence of her own. The Disney trip was in 5 days. 10-year anniversary celebration. I'd already paid for the hotel, the park tickets, the character breakfast Tyler had been talking about for months. I wasn't canceling it. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother Mike in Phoenix. "You doing okay? Haven't heard from you in a while?" Mike. My actual brother. Not some fictional sibling used as cover for handing out house keys to strangers. I'd called the locksmith back yesterday afternoon. Casual conversation. "Hey, my wife mentioned her brother might have lost those keys you made. Can you tell me exactly when he picked them up?" February 14th. Valentine's Day, actually. I remember because he joked about it being a romantic gift. February 14th. I'd been in Sacramento for a conference, 3 days away. Amanda had texted me every night about how much she missed me, complete with heart emojis. The locksmith continued. Nice guy, tall, athletic build. Said he was grateful his sister trusted him with a spare set. Did you get a name for your records? Let me check. Yeah, here it is. David Miller. David Miller. She'd even used my last name. The audacity was almost impressive. I'd asked the locksmith to email me the work order. He had. Complete with a signature that was definitely not my handwriting and definitely not anyone in my family. Patricia had loved that detail. This shows premeditation, planning. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was calculated deception. I finished shaving and headed downstairs. Amanda stood at the counter, wrapping Tyler's sandwich in wax paper. She wore yoga pants and one of my old college t-shirts. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She looked exactly like the woman I'd married. "You look tired," she said, glancing up. "Late night?" "Server issues. You know how it is." She nodded sympathetically. "Well, try to get some rest tonight. We've got a busy weekend coming up." Right? The weekend. I'd almost forgotten about the surveillance footage from last night. The PI had texted me at 6 a.m. with an update. All 4 subjects remained at the Lawson residence until 2:47 a.m. I have clear photos of arrivals and departures. Invoice attached. Won $200 for 1 night of surveillance. Worth every penny. Tyler bounded into the kitchen. "Found them. They were in my soccer bag the whole time." "Of course they were," Amanda laughed. She ruffled his hair. "You're just like your father, always looking everywhere except the obvious place." The casual insult, the easy dismissal. I wondered how many times she'd done that over the years, and I'd just laughed along, playing the role of the lovable, scattered husband. "Practice tonight?" I asked Tyler. "Yep. Coach Kevin said we're working on corner kicks." Amanda's expression didn't change, not even a flicker. "That's great, honey. Dad will take you, right? I've got my book club." There it was. Another lie, delivered with the same tone she used to discuss grocery lists. "Actually," I said slowly, "I was thinking maybe we could both go. Watch practice together." Amanda's smile tightened just slightly. "Oh, I can't tonight. The book club is discussing The Midnight Library, and I'm leading the conversation. I've been preparing all week." The Midnight Library. I'd checked her nightstand last night. No book, no notes, nothing to suggest she'd read a single page. "Right, of course." She kissed Tyler's forehead and headed toward the stairs. "I'm going to shower. Can you drop him at school?" "Sure." I watched her disappear up the stairs, probably to text Bethany or Kevin or Brad about tonight's actual plans. The phone I'd cloned would tell me soon enough. Tyler munched on a granola bar, oblivious. "Dad, can we get ice cream after practice?" "Absolutely, buddy." My own phone buzzed. An email from Patricia Novak with the subject line, Timeline and Strategy. I opened it while Tyler finished his breakfast. Jason, based on our conversations and the evidence you've provided, here's my recommended approach. 1. Continue documentation through the Disney trip. I know this seems counterintuitive, but maintaining normalcy for another week gives us several advantages. 2. File immediately upon return. I'll have papers ready to serve. 3. The evidence of the duplicate keys, combined with the surveillance footage and digital records, establishes a pattern of deception that will be very difficult for opposing counsel to explain away. 4. Regarding custody. California courts favor joint custody, but primary physical custody often goes to the parent who can demonstrate stability and the child's best interests. Your documentation of maintaining normalcy while she engaged in ongoing deception will matter. Call me this afternoon to discuss specifics. Patricia. 1 week. 7 more days of pretending I didn't know. 7 more days of Amanda humming in the kitchen and lying about book clubs and laughing at inside jokes with Bethany while their husbands paid the bills and raised the kids and trusted them completely. I could do 7 days. Tyler grabbed his backpack. Ready, Dad? Let's go. We drove to school in comfortable silence. He chattered about soccer and a project on the solar system and whether we'd see any alligators in Florida. Normal 8-year-old concerns. I pulled up to the drop-off line. Have a great day, buddy. You too, Dad. He hopped out, then stuck his head back in the window. Love you. Love you too. I watched him run toward the entrance, backpack bouncing. Then I pulled out my phone and opened the cloned data from Amanda's laptop. New messages from this morning, sent while I was shaving. Amanda to Bethany. He suspects nothing. God, sometimes I feel bad about how easy this is. Bethany. Don't. You deserve happiness. We both do. Amanda. Tonight's still on? Brad confirmed? Bethany. All set. Derek thinks I'm visiting my mom. Your book club cover is perfect. Amanda. I know. I've used it so many times it practically writes itself. I took a screenshot, added it to the folder that now contained 847 images, evidence of 847 separate lies. My hands had stopped shaking. The exhaustion had faded into something sharper, more focused. 7 more days. Then Amanda would find out what happened when you underestimated the boring, predictable husband. When you mistook patience for ignorance. When you assumed the man who fixed servers and drove carpool and never made waves would just keep playing his part forever. I put the car in drive and headed to work, already planning tomorrow's documentation. The house looked the same this morning. By next week, nothing would be. The Florida sun beat down on the Magic Kingdom parking lot as I loaded our suitcases into the rental car. Tyler was still buzzing with energy despite the 5-hour flight, recounting every detail of the plane ride to Amanda, who smiled and nodded with what looked like genuine maternal affection. She'd been perfect all week, attentive, loving. She'd even initiated intimacy twice, something that had become rare over the past year, I now realized. Probably guilt, or maybe just maintaining the performance. I documented it all. The times she'd excused herself to text. The hushed phone calls she thought I couldn't hear. The way she'd suggested I take Tyler to the hotel pool alone so she could relax by herself for a bit. Every moment, cataloged and backed up. This is going to be the best week ever, Tyler shouted from the back seat as we drove toward the resort. Amanda reached over and squeezed my hand. Our 10th anniversary. Can you believe it? Hard to believe, I said. And it was. Hard to believe I'd spent 10 years with someone I didn't know at all. The week passed in a blur of manufactured happiness. We rode Space Mountain. We met Mickey Mouse. We ate overpriced churros and watched fireworks explode over Cinderella's castle while Tyler sat on my shoulders, his sticky hands gripping my hair. Amanda took 1,000 photos. For the memories, she said. I wondered if she'd look at them differently in a few weeks, when the memories meant something else entirely. On our last night, after Tyler fell asleep in his bed, Amanda poured 2 glasses of champagne on our hotel balcony. To us, she said, raising her glass. To 10 more years. I clinked my glass against hers and said nothing. She studied my face in the dim light. You've been quiet this whole trip. Are you okay? Just thinking about going back to reality. I know what you mean. She sipped her champagne. But we needed this. As a family. The word felt obscene coming from her mouth. Family. The thing she'd been systematically destroying for 14 months while I worked and parented and trusted. Amanda, I said slowly, do you ever think about what would happen if we weren't honest with each other? She stiffened slightly. What do you mean? Just, marriage is built on trust, right? If that broke down, everything else would fall apart. I guess so. She set down her glass. Why are you asking me this? No reason, just thinking out loud. She watched me for a long moment, and I could see the calculations behind her eyes, trying to determine if I knew something, if this was a test. Jason, you know I love you, right? Do I? The words hung between us like a blade. Of course you do. Her voice had an edge now. What's going on with you? Nothing. I'm tired. Let's go to bed. I left her on the balcony and went inside. Through the glass door, I watched her pull out her phone, her fingers moving rapidly across the screen. Probably texting Bethany. Probably asking if Derek had said anything. If I'd somehow talked to him. They had no idea Derek was about to find out everything too. We flew home on Sunday. Tyler slept most of the flight, exhausted from a week of theme parks. Amanda read a magazine, occasionally showing me articles about vacation destinations or home renovations, playing the role of interested wife. My phone buzzed with a text from Patricia. Papers are ready. Process server is on standby. Confirm when you want to proceed. I typed back, Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Her response was immediate. Understood? Good luck. Monday morning, I went to work like normal. Amanda went to her yoga class. Tyler went to school. The machinery of our lives continued turning, everyone playing their parts. That evening, I helped Tyler with homework while Amanda made dinner. Spaghetti and meatballs, Tyler's favorite. She hummed while she cooked, occasionally glancing over at us with a soft smile. I'm glad we took that trip, she said during dinner. I feel like we reconnected. I said, non-committally. After Tyler went to bed, I sat in my office staring at the folder on my laptop. 1,247 screenshots now. Surveillance footage. Bank records showing cash withdrawals that corresponded with hotel receipts I'd found in her car. Credit card statements for lingerie I'd never seen her wear. The evidence of a double life, compiled with the same methodical precision I brought to network architecture. My phone rang. Patricia. Just confirming for tomorrow, she said. The process server will arrive at your home at 9. I recommend you take Tyler to school first, then be present when she's served. It's not required, but given the custody situation, it shows you're maintaining stability for your son. I'll be there. Jason, I need to prepare you for what comes next. She'll likely be shocked, angry, possibly vindictive. She may try to turn this around on you. Document everything that happens after she's served. Every text, every call, every interaction. I understand. One more thing. We received the forensic analysis of her devices. The deleted messages we recovered go back even further than we thought. Almost 2 years. And there are indications of at least 2 other individuals involved beyond the 4 we identified. My stomach turned. 2 years? I'm sorry. I know that makes it worse. But it also strengthens our case significantly. This wasn't a mistake or a brief affair. This was a sustained pattern of deception. 2 years. While I'd been planning our anniversary, while Tyler had learned to ride a bike, while I'd taken on extra projects at work to save for the Disney trip. 2 years of lies. Thank you for letting me know, I said. After we hung up, I sat in the darkness of my office, listening to Amanda move around upstairs, getting ready for bed, probably texting someone about tomorrow's plans, whatever they might be. She had no idea tomorrow would be different. That tomorrow, the boring, predictable husband would finally stop playing his part. Tuesday morning arrived with cloudless skies. I made breakfast, scrambled eggs and toast. Tyler ate quickly, excited about a field trip to the Science Museum. Amanda sipped her coffee, scrolling through her phone. I'll take Tyler to school, I said. You can sleep in. She looked up, surprised. Really? That's sweet. I do have an early yoga class, but I could skip it. No, go to your class. I've got it. She smiled. You're the best. I drove Tyler to school, walked him to his classroom, hugged him goodbye. Have fun at the museum, buddy. I will. Love you, Dad. Love you too. Then I drove back home, parked in the driveway, checked my phone. 8:47 a.m. The process server would arrive in 13 minutes. I sat in my car watching the house. Our house. The place where I'd thought we were building a life together. Where Tyler had taken his first steps. Where we'd hosted birthday parties and holiday dinners and made what I'd believed were happy memories. All of it contaminated by her lies. At exactly 9 a.m., a silver Honda pulled up. A woman in her 50s got out, carrying a manila envelope. She checked the address, then walked to the front door. I got out of my car and followed. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I could see Amanda coming down the stairs, probably annoyed at being interrupted before her yoga class. She was wearing athletic clothes, her hair pulled back, looking exactly like someone about to work out. She opened the door. Can I help you? Amanda Miller? Yes? You've been served. The woman handed her the envelope and walked away. Amanda stood frozen, staring at the envelope. Then she saw me standing on the walkway. Jason, what is this? I walked past her into the house. Open it. Her hands shook as she tore open the envelope. I watched her face as she read. Watched the color drain from her cheeks. Watched her eyes widen. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Her voice was barely a whisper. Jason, what the hell is this? It's a divorce filing. I think that's pretty clear. Divorce? Are you insane? We just got back from Disney. We had a perfect week. You had a perfect performance. There's a difference. She stared at me like I was speaking another language. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone, opened the folder of screenshots, and handed it to her. Start scrolling. She took the phone with trembling hands. I watched her face as she scrolled through the messages, through the surveillance photos, through the evidence of 14 months, no, 2 years, of systematic betrayal. The blood drained from her face completely. How did you, does it matter? Jason, I can explain. Don't. The word came out sharp. Don't insult me by trying to explain. I've read every message. I've seen the surveillance footage. I know about Kevin, Brad, Bethany, and whoever else you've been entertaining while I was at work or taking care of our son. She sank onto the stairs, still clutching the phone. It wasn't supposed to be like this. What was it supposed to be like, Amanda? You were supposed to keep lying and I was supposed to keep being the oblivious husband forever? No, we were going to stop, after Disney. We talked about it. It was just, It was just something we needed to get out of our systems. The rationalization was almost impressive. You needed to get it out of your systems for 2 years? Her head snapped up. 2 years? No, it's only been… She stopped, realizing the trap. Only been what? 14 months since it got serious? 2 years since it started? Does the timeline really matter at this point? Tears started streaming down her face. Please, Jason, please. Think about Tyler. Think about our family. I have been thinking about Tyler. That's why I documented everything. That's why I waited until after Disney to file. That's why I've maintained normalcy while you were out with your book club and your yoga classes and whatever other lies you've told. It was a mistake. I made a terrible mistake. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can… Read the petition, Amanda. Really read it. I'm filing for full custody. Her face went white. You can't do that. I can, and I will. You brought strangers into our home. You gave them keys. You coordinated your affairs around our son's schedule. You used his soccer practice as cover to sleep with his coach. That's not… I never… Tyler doesn't know anything. Not yet, but family court will. Your lawyer will receive the full documentation this afternoon. Every message, every photo, every lie you told while I was being a parent and a partner and a faithful husband. She stood up, anger replacing shock. You self-righteous bastard. You think you're so perfect? You were never home. You were always working, always on your laptop, always too tired to… To what? Pay attention to you? Is that the excuse you're going with? I work to provide for our family. I work to pay for the house you brought your lovers into. I work to save for the Disney trip you used as cover to plan your next encounter. That's not fair. Fair, I laughed, and it came out bitter. You want to talk about fair? How about the 2 years I spent trusting you while you laughed about how easy it was to deceive me? How about the messages where you called me boring and predictable and mocked me to your friends? She had no answer for that. The locks will be changed this afternoon, I continued. You can collect your essential items now. Everything else will be handled through the attorneys. Tyler will stay with me. You'll have supervised visitation until the court determines otherwise. You can't keep me from my son. I'm not. The court order allows for supervised visitation. You'll get the schedule from your attorney. Jason, please. She was crying fully now, mascara running down her face. Please don't do this. I love you. I love Tyler. I made a mistake, but we can fix it. We can fix this. I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just a cold, empty certainty that this person was a stranger. The Amanda I married wouldn't have done this, I said quietly. So either you were never her, or she died somewhere along the way. Either way, I'm not interested in finding out which. I walked to the door, then paused. Tyler's field trip ends at 3. I'll pick him up and take him to my mother's house. You can see him there with her present, if you want to explain why Mommy and Daddy aren't living together anymore. Or I can tell him you're away for work. Your choice. This is cruel. No, cruel is what you did. This is just consequences. I left her sitting on the stairs of our house, her former house, and drove away. My phone rang before I'd made it 2 blocks. Patricia. She's been served? Yes. How did she react? Exactly as you predicted. Shock, denial, anger, bargaining, the whole cycle in about 15 minutes. Good. That's actually good. It means she wasn't prepared. No counter-strategy ready. By the time she retains counsel and mounts a defense, we'll have filed all supporting documentation with the court. What about Tyler? The emergency custody order is in effect. She can't remove him from the state or interfere with your parenting time. Supervised visitation will continue until the preliminary hearing next month. Next month. 4 weeks of Tyler asking why Mommy wasn't home. 4 weeks of explaining that sometimes adults make choices that hurt the people they love. 4 weeks of being both parents while Amanda figured out how to live with the consequences of her actions. There's one more thing, Patricia said. Derek Lawson called my office this morning. Bethany's husband. Apparently, he received an anonymous package yesterday containing similar documentation about his wife's activities. I said nothing. I don't suppose you know anything about that? No idea. Well, he's filing for divorce as well, and he mentioned something about Bradley Whitmore's wife receiving a similar package. Quite a coincidence. Quite. Jason, I need to ask, did you? I documented my wife's infidelity. What other people do with information they receive is their business. She was quiet for a moment. Understood. Well, for what it's worth, you've built one of the most comprehensive cases I've seen. Whatever happens from here, you've protected your son and your interests. That's what matters. After we hung up, I drove to my office, sat at my desk, opened my email. There were already 3 messages from Amanda, pleading, angry, desperate. I deleted them unread and blocked her email address. All communication would go through attorneys now. My desk phone rang. My boss. Jason, I heard you might be dealing with some personal issues. Take whatever time you need. Your projects are covered. Thank you. I appreciate that. For what it's worth, I went through a divorce 10 years ago. It gets better. Not quickly, but it does get better. I hope so. I worked through the afternoon, losing myself in code and server configurations. Problems with clear solutions. Binary choices. Nothing like the mess of human relationships. At 2:45, I left to pick up Tyler from school. He bounced out to the car, full of stories about the Science Museum. Dad, they had this exhibit about space and I learned that Jupiter has 79 moons. 79! Can you believe it? That's amazing, buddy. Where's Mom? I want to tell her about the moons. She's dealing with some stuff today. How about we go to Grandma's house? You can tell her about the moons. Okay. He was 8, easily distracted. That would change as he got older, as he started asking harder questions. But for now, I could protect him from the worst of it. My mother met us at the door of her house. She'd been briefed on the situation, had offered to help however she could. She hugged Tyler and let him inside, already asking about his field trip. I stood in her doorway and she touched my arm. You did the right thing. Doesn't feel right. It will. Eventually. 3 weeks later, I sat in a courtroom while a judge reviewed the documentation. Amanda's attorney, a slick man in an expensive suit who'd clearly been told he was defending the indefensible, tried to argue that the evidence was obtained illegally, that I'd violated her privacy, that the affair was a symptom of marital problems we should have addressed in counseling. Patricia dismantled every argument with surgical precision. The judge, a woman in her 60s who'd probably seen every variation of this story, listened impassively. Then she looked at Amanda. Mrs. Miller, I've reviewed the evidence presented, the timeline of deception, the involvement of your minor child's coach, the coordination of these activities around your son's schedule. Do you have anything to say? Amanda stood, her attorney's hand on her arm. Your Honor, I made terrible mistakes. I know that. But I love my son. I'm a good mother. I'm asking for joint custody and a chance to prove I can do better. The judge looked at her for a long moment. Mrs. Miller, being a good mother means putting your child's needs above your own desires. It means making choices that prioritize their well-being. For 2 years, you did the opposite. You brought instability into your home. You modeled deceptive behavior. You prioritized your extramarital relationships over your family. She turned to me. Mr. Miller, I'm granting you primary physical custody. Mrs. Miller will have supervised visitation every other weekend, with the possibility of revisiting the arrangement in 6 months if she completes court-ordered counseling and maintains appropriate boundaries. Amanda's face crumpled. Her attorney whispered something to her, probably about appeals. The judge continued. Regarding asset division, California is a community property state, But I'm taking into account Mr. Miller's evidence of financial misconduct. Mrs. Miller, you withdrew significant funds from joint accounts to finance your activities. Those withdrawals will be factored into the final settlement. She banged her gavel. We'll reconvene in 30 days for final dissolution proceedings. 6 months after that courtroom, I stood in Tyler's new bedroom, in our new house, a smaller place across town, helping him hang posters of astronauts and planets. "Dad," he said, carefully positioning a photo of the Mars rover. "Are you happy?" The question caught me off guard. "What makes you ask that?" "You seem different. Not bad different, just different." I thought about it. About the divorce that had been finalized 3 months ago. About Amanda's supervised visits, which had gradually become less awkward. About the way she'd started taking actual responsibility, started therapy, started becoming someone I didn't recognize, in a better way this time. About the peace that came from living honestly, from not wondering what was being hidden, from building a life based on truth instead of comfortable lies. "Yeah, buddy," I said. "I think I am happy. Are you?" He nodded. "I miss how things were before. But I like how things are now too. Does that make sense?" Perfect sense. He went back to his posters. I watched him work, this resilient kid who'd adapted to his new reality with more grace than most adults could manage. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. "Final settlement approved by the court. It's over." Over. The word felt strange. This chapter of my life closed. 10 years of marriage, reduced to legal documents and asset divisions and custody schedules. But also, over. The lies, the deception, the pretending. I texted back, "Thank you for everything." Her response, "You did the hard part. You chose truth over comfort. Not everyone can do that." That evening, after Tyler was asleep, I sat on my new porch with a beer and thought about the man I'd been a year ago. The one who'd opened a laptop to print boarding passes and found a message that changed everything. That man would have been destroyed by what I'd learned. Would have fallen apart. Would have maybe tried to salvage something unsalvageable because the alternative was too frightening. But I'd learned something in the months since. Sometimes the thing you're most afraid of losing is the thing that's already gone. You're just holding onto a ghost, a memory, a version of reality that never actually existed. Amanda had made her choices. I'd made mine. And Tyler would grow up knowing that actions have consequences. That trust matters. That love without honesty is just a performance, and performances eventually end. My phone buzzed again. A message from Jake, my brother. "How you holding up?" "Good," I typed back. "Really good, actually." "Proud of you, man. Takes guts to blow up your life and build something better from the pieces." I looked at the message for a long time. Blowing up my life. That's what it had felt like at first. Controlled demolition of everything I'd thought was solid. But now, sitting in the quiet of my new home with my son sleeping safely upstairs, I realized Jake had it wrong. I hadn't blown up my life. I'd blown up the lies. What remained? Tyler, my integrity, my self-respect, the possibility of something real in the future. That was my actual life. The one I'd been living all along, buried under Amanda's deceptions. The boring, predictable husband had turned out to be the one who survived. And in the end, that was enough. Epilogue. Tyler adjusted better than I'd feared. Children are resilient in ways that constantly surprise me. He sees Amanda every other weekend now, and their relationship has found a new equilibrium. She's not the mother she was. She's working to become better. Whether she succeeds isn't my concern anymore. I never did find out exactly who Brad was, though I have my suspicions. Kevin Patterson moved to another state 6 months after the divorce was filed. Bethany and Derek's divorce was even messier than mine. Turns out she'd been hiding more than just affairs. People ask me if I regret how I handled it. If I should have confronted Amanda sooner, tried counseling, given her a chance to explain. The answer is simple. No. Because here's what I learned. Trust isn't something you rebuild with someone who spent years systematically destroying it. Trust is something you protect, something you value, something you refuse to compromise on. I trusted Amanda completely. She exploited that trust for her own gratification. When I discovered the truth, I didn't owe her the opportunity to manipulate me further. I owed myself, and my son, the truth. Some people will say I was cold, calculating, that I should have led with my heart instead of my head. But love without wisdom is just vulnerability waiting to be exploited. And I'd been vulnerable long enough. Tyler's doing well in school. I'm seeing someone new, slowly, carefully, with eyes wide open. My career is thriving. The house is smaller, but it's ours, built on honesty instead of lies. And sometimes, late at night, I think about that moment in my office when I first saw those messages. The way my world tilted on its axis. The way everything I thought I knew revealed itself as fiction. I could have looked away. Closed the laptop. Pretended I'd seen nothing. Some part of me wishes I had. The part that remembers 10 years of marriage, of shared history, of Tyler's first steps and family vacations and lazy Sunday mornings. But most of me, the part that matters, knows that ignorance isn't bliss. It's just delayed pain. And I'd rather face truth head-on than live in comfortable delusion. The screenshot that changed everything didn't destroy my life. It saved it. And that, in the end, is the only moral that matters. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is also the best thing. Sometimes losing everything you thought you wanted gives you room to find what you actually need. Sometimes the man who seems to lose is the one who wins. Because I walked away with my integrity intact, with my son's respect, with the knowledge that I'd face the worst betrayal of my life and come through it stronger. Amanda lost everything. Her marriage, her home, primary custody of her son, the respect of everyone who knew the truth. I lost a wife who was never really mine to begin with. In the mathematics of divorce, that's not even close to an equal trade. I won. And I'd make the same choice again, every single time.